How does one use the Bitcoin that you have acquired? Well, if it's in a retirement account like Fidelity or something like that, you have to cash it back out to US dollars in order to use it. But if you have Bitcoin you have acquired on a platform like River or Coinbase or something like that, the easiest way to spend Bitcoin in the real world is with a Bitcoin debit card. I have the Coinbase debit card, and Coinbase is currently the market leader in that category of making it easy to spend Bitcoin in the real world. And the way it works is I can spend Bitcoin absolutely anywhere that takes a Visa card, like everywhere. So I can go buy groceries with Bitcoin. I can pay for gas with Bitcoin. I can do everything with Bitcoin, literally everything. I can link it to payment apps, and I can pay with Bitcoin through payment apps. I can do anything. Again, everywhere Visa is accepted. Also, for my business accounts, I have a River account for my various nonprofits and some of my legal entities. And for those, I often do direct payments in Bitcoin. Because I'm part of the Bitcoin ecosystem, most of the people I work with want more Bitcoin. They don't want more US dollars. And so I usually pay invoices in Bitcoin. And obviously, they keep up with their taxes and all of that because platforms like River or Coinbase make it easy to keep up with taxes when, for tax purposes, if you receive income as in the form of Bitcoin, for example. They make it easy to keep up with that. So what can you do with Bitcoin? You can buy anything that a Visa card can buy. You can send it to people to pay anyone who will take Bitcoin for everything, which increasingly is a lot of people, and in my world is a very large number of people. Although I do write the occasional paper check for a babysitter or something like that, or send cash along with one of my kids on a youth trip with our church or something like that, because they're stopping at Chick-fil-A and every kid is supposed to have cash and they're not allowed to have electronic devices. So it's not you can't escape the current system entirely, but you can come really close. And eventually you will be able to escape it entirely. So anyway, but what can you do with Bitcoin? The number one thing you can do with Bitcoin is sit on it and let it appreciate in value as more of the world adopts Bitcoin as their primary form of money. Right now, less than 5% of the world owns any Bitcoin at all, and less than 1% of the world has Bitcoin as a significant portion of their assets, meaning, like me, they're living on a Bitcoin standard and own way more Bitcoin than anything else. I have 100% of my liquid assets in Bitcoin. So basically, I've got as few US dollars as I can possibly get away with, just so I don't bounce a check to a babysitter or something like that. And I just live on a Bitcoin standard. So anyway, as more and more of the world moves to a Bitcoin standard, and as the 95% of the people who own zero Bitcoin in the world also slowly move to Bitcoin, just adopting technology slowly, as technology adoption always is, and the price of Bitcoin will appreciate radically. And even when it's fully adopted worldwide, because the Bitcoin is still a limited supply and it cannot be made out of thin air like the US dollar, Bitcoin will always trend up in value rather than down like the US dollar. So, in summary, what can you do with Bitcoin? You can buy anything with a Visa card, with the Coinbase debit card, which spends Bitcoin in the real world. You can transfer it to people. You can pay people. You can literally do absolutely anything you want to do. Hold on, there's some wonky traffic here. Um, there's like signs that the road is closed, but it's not clear. Anyway, so you can buy stuff with the Coinbase debit card, which anywhere Visa's accepted. You can pay people, and the number one thing you can do is use it as an investment because it actually increases in value, and in the near term will increase, in my opinion, far more in value than anything else you could possibly have your money in. So that is how you use your Bitcoin. But in the in the short term, holding Bitcoin is using Bitcoin. When you hold an asset, you are using that asset for its price appreciation. And Bitcoin has better price appreciation than any other asset in the world. So holding it is using it. And for most people who are not yet on a Bitcoin standard and don't already have the majority of their assets in Bitcoin like I do, I recommend they buy as much Bitcoin as they possibly can and hold on to it for as long as conceivably possible. That is the number one thing you ought to do with Bitcoin. But once you end up with a lot of Bitcoin, obviously you can spend it in the real world and do pretty much anything else with it as well. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks.